Hey Pokedad Fan Club, it's me Pokedad, and today we are test driving Klive's Zygarde GX list. Yesterday I had an interview with him, and it's on the channel, so check that out. But today we're actually going to take the deck out for a test drive and see how it plays. So it looks like we start that Sudowoodo. And that's the watch and learn Sudowoodo that can copy an attack. So when your opponent uses an attack, you can copy it. But until then, it's not very good. We see double EV start, making me think we're probably looking at Espeon on Garb. But we had a few mulligans, so fortunately for us, we can play the Brooklet Hill down and we can start powering up a Zygarde GX. And one thing that Klive told me when we were going through the interview is that Zygarde can get powered up a lot quicker than Buzzwole can, and that's one of the advantages of playing Zygarde over Buzzwole. Now here I play a Float Stone and a Choice Band down, and I don't retreat into the Zygarde after the Cynthia was played. The reason for that is I'm afraid he might use Psybeam, which would confuse me, but unfortunately he has the Field Blower in his starting hand, and so we lose the Choice Band and the Float Stone, which is very unfortunate. But I felt like I needed to go ahead and play them because I may not have drawn back into them, and so I don't know if that was really, I mean, I probably could have played around Field Blower, but I was really playing around Psybeam more. And so we do see the Energy Evolution come into play right here, and we'll see an Espeon GX come out. And we see a Mysterious Treasure, so if our opponent's playing Garb, probably going to try to get a Trubbish down. Or no, we see a Lele here, okay. He Lele's here, and he grabs Sycamore. Now I'm not sure how I feel about that play. I think maybe getting the Trubbish down might have been better. He gets rid of a Trashalanche, and he had the N in hand, so he does get a Trubbish down now. But he might have been able to save that Trashalanche for later. I'm not sure. It seems fine that he played the Sycamore, but I think I would have preferred the N. Alright, so I debate putting that baby Buzzwole down. It is weak to Psychic though, so I don't really want to make it a target. And I'd like to try to use it to hit pretty hard after after our opponent has taken 2 prizes. And the other thing is it might be easy for our opponent to play around baby Buzzwole anyway, because they can use Espeon's GX attack to put 10 damage counters wherever they want. Cynthia into a Hand of Energy, so that's kind of unfortunate. I go ahead and put an energy on the second Zygarde because unless they end me, I'll be able to power up the other Zygarde anytime. So anyway, that's my thinking there. Unfortunately, we didn't find the Float Stone, so we now have that Sudowoodo is still stranded in the active. They get another Espeon GX down. And do we see anything else from my opponent? So with the Diancie Prism Star, we can actually do 150, 180, 200 with Zygarde's GX attack. So we can take a knockout on an Espeon GX. We just see another Psybeam here, so the Sudowoodo is taking a hit for us. Now here's where I top deck the Ultra Ball, and part of me thinks, you know, should we get Sycamore? Should we get a Cynthia? We can grab the Lele if it's in the deck, and indeed it is. Do we get a Sycamore, or do we get a Cynthia, or do we get something else? Instead, I think I just prefer to grab Guzma here, because like I said, we can take a knockout with the GX, with Zygarde's GX attack. Yeah, and that's what I'm debating, especially since there's not a Cynthia, and I really don't want to Sycamore that strong energy away. It might be useful in the end of the game. So now I do go ahead and grab the baby Buzzwole, because my thinking is if somehow they're able to take a knockout, even though I'm going to be using the GX attack, I can have the baby Buzzwole put a lot of pressure on. And so we just use Verdict GX. We take the first 2 prizes of the game. They bring up the Trubbish, so it makes me think they're probably going to play a Trashalanche here. And indeed, it evolves into a Trashalanche. I look at my items and I have 4, so it's going to hit for 110 damage. But it's not knocking us out, so we should be able to take another knockout on the Trashalanche here. And that'll put us down to 3 prizes. Our opponent does Sycamore here, getting rid of looks like an Ultra Ball and a Drampa, and puts the Float Stone down and gets the Garbotoxin into play. So now our abilities are shut off, and we do see the Trashalanche coming into play here. And we see a Parallel City. And with the Parallel City here, since my abilities are shut off, the Diancie Prism Star doesn't help me much. So I go ahead and get rid of that. Everything else could potentially come in handy. So we see 110 damage go into the Zygarde. I don't want to play in because they only have 2 cards in hand, and I would be giving them 6. So I go ahead and just attach to the Sudowoodo and take a knockout. Now our opponent here promotes the Garbotoxin, which has the Float Stone, which makes sense. But they missed the DCE, and like I said, they only had 2 cards in hand, so I felt like they might not have enough, you know, to do a lot of damage. And indeed, all they're able to do here is Side Beam us for 60, so our Zygarde is still hanging on. But if I attack into this Espeon and I flip Tails, I will knock out the Zygarde. So I'm debating on what do I do here. I still really don't want to play the in, because they did not do much. They attached energy and that's about it. But I'm thinking about retreating this Zygarde with a heavy retreat cost. My thinking is maybe we can use a Cell Connector for 80 damage in the late game. We probably won't get it powered up for a Land's Wrath, but maybe we can it can still come in handy. So we go ahead and attach the Strong Energy, and we can use a Cell Connector here for 70. And fortunately, and the good thing about Cell Connector is it does power us up. Psychic would do 60, 90, 90 plus 30, 60, 90, 120. He could take a knockout if he did Psychic here. And but he Guzmas instead. He Guzmas up the Buzzwole, which is strange. And he goes for Divide GX. He's going to take a knockout on the Zygarde and on the Sudowoodo, going down to 3 prizes. I'm not sure how I feel like about that. I think maybe just taking out the Zygarde would have been better, but then I guess he was afraid that the baby Buzzwole would come in and hit him. So instead he takes 3 prizes, playing around the baby Buzzwole in the Sledgehammer attack. Again, I'm still not sure how I feel about that, but we do hit a strong energy here. So we go ahead and play Zygarde down, we'll play a Rockruff down, and I don't attach the energy, I just go ahead and end. I think I'm looking for a DCE in hopes that I could just attach it to the Buzzwole and retreat, but we indeed hit the Float Stone, and then now we're able to Land's Wrath, taking a knockout on this Espeon. So I'm not sure if the Espeon play was right. They might have had, but I do understand why they did it. They were trying to play around Sledgehammer. Anyway, though, now our opponent has 3-4 cards in hand and really nothing to attack with except the Lele's. We do see a strong energy. See an Enhanced Hammer knocking off the strong energy. And we see a DCE coming down to Tapu Lele and a Guzma. So our opponent has no cards in hand. And Guzma's up the other Zygarde, so I guess he's going to try to chip away at that while they buy some time getting some more cards in hand. I really don't have much in hand either. I have the Lycanroc, but I can't use Bloodthirsty Eyes. I can't retreat out of the active. So I just attach an energy to the Zygarde on the bench. And I'm debating, do I play? I probably could go ahead and safely play the Choice Band just in case an end does come down, because an end to 1 could be problematic. But our opponent's in top deck mode. They get another DCE, it's played to the Lele on the bench. And then they just hit for another 40. So the question is do I let this Zygarde go down? Can it take another hit? Again, I get another energy, so I attach it to the Rockruff, and I'm thinking Lycanroc could probably be a better attacker in this scenario. Right now, if we do Land's Wrath, we're only doing 130 with the Choice Bands 160, so we wouldn't take a knockout on the Lele. I go ahead and evolve the Lycanroc, and then the Lele could take a knockout in return on that Zygarde on the bench. But we go ahead and commit the Choice Band. I'm not sure if that's right, but we did anyway. And our opponent finally top decks out of it, getting a Cynthia. So now, oh boy, what can we do? We just need one more prize, but we can't take a knockout on the Lele with our Zygarde. So maybe if we get lucky and hit a top deck of a Guzma, we can try to, I mean, if we get a Guzma, then we can win the game. Our opponent puts another another Garbotoxin into play. Doesn't put a Floatstone or anything on it, and indeed we do get lucky in top deck. The Guzma for game, and our opponent gives us a well played. So before attacking, I give our opponent a well played. I like good sportsmanship, and so I appreciate that. So we take a knockout, and that was game 1. So pretty good game 1 there. So let's move into game 2 here. And I really like the power of Zygarde. One thing that when I was doing the interview with Klive, he just continued, he kept telling me that Zygarde is faster than Buzzwole because it powers itself up, and because one of the energies you can use is a DCE. And I'm really beginning to see that as I play this deck more and more. So Zygarde does have is fast, has 10 more HP than Buzzwole, but still has all the buffs that Buzzwole has. So we start off with a Rangaroo in this match. We see some Alakazam sleeves. Maybe this is a psychic deck. I didn't look to see what we were playing against, which is normally how you should play the game. But it looks like we're playing against Necrozma Malamar, the psychic variant. So we'll use Ultra Ball, discarding those two fighting energies. And I think we'll just probably start off grabbing a Zygarde here. Put that Zygarde down, attach the Choice Band, and we will play the Elixir and hit it. And I'm thinking about Sycamoring here, but let's instruct first because we have the Cynthia. So if it's something valuable, we can just Cynthia instead of Sycamore. And it's a float stone, so we get rewarded for that. And we'll go ahead and Sycamore for a fresh hand of 7 here. And we get a lot of good stuff. So we've got a Brooklet Hill. So we get another Zygarde down. And we go ahead and play a Max Elixir. And we hit it again. We'll attach it to the original Zygarde. And then we'll attach Fighting Energy to the second Zygarde, because we can attach the DCE to the Zygarde next turn. And even if we don't attach it, if somehow it gets in and out of our hand, we did discard 2 fightings, so we can Cell Connector next turn if we need to. But right now we're looking like we could take a knockout on this Psychic Necrozma. Our opponent does bridge it, gets Inkay, and a Dawn Wings Necrozma. And we see Beast Energy come down to the Dawn Wings. And our opponent is debating on, I guess, whether on if they should Invasion or not. We top deck Guzma, and this is a interesting play here. I was just going to take the Necrozma out, but then I was like, well, Dawn Wings can then come in and do 180, 200 and take a knockout on us. So if we get Diancie Prism Star, we can do 200 damage with our GX. And then of course with resistance that would bring it down to 180, and that would allow us to take a knockout on this Dawn Wings. So I go ahead and say, yeah, let's get the Dawn Wings out of here. And then if another Dawn Wings comes down, they would need some other damage modifier to take a knockout on this Zygarde, and plus I'm protected for the turn, so we take a knockout on that Dawn Wings. And at this point I'm thinking everything's looking pretty good, but our opponent has double Malamar here. Wow. So the opponent started with a ton of good cards in their hand, and then Sycamore's 2 psychic energies away. So this isn't looking as good as I thought, because possibly if we see a Mewtwo come down, we could see them use the GX to go through Zygarde's GX attack, and that could be a problem for us. So we see an Ultra Ball come down. Of course, to be able to use Mewtwo, they would need to get the active out of the to the bench, so they would need a Float Stone along with that. So they discard 2 cards. They get Dawnwing's Necrozma. So maybe they're going to use their GX attack. Fortunately, we have Guzma in play, so we could potentially take another knockout. And oh, we see the Mewtwo. And our opponent literally has everything they need to use Mewtwo's attack. Wow, but they go down to a 0-card hand, which, you know, they really reached for that Mewtwo to take this knockout. So I don't know if that'll, I mean, it's nice, it's good that they were able to counter my GX attack. They're only going to get 2 cards, and whatever the 2 cards from the prizes are, that's what they'll have. But that really set me back a turn, so I was pretty surprised that they were able to accomplish all that in 1 turn. But they had everything. They had the double Malamar, they hit the Ultra Ball and the Mysterious Treasure. And that's really one of the powers of Malamar, is just they can really, on turn 2, can really reach and get really far. Here we're just going to Ultra Ball the Guzma and the energy away. Will grab us a Rockruff because we might want to use Lycanroc's Bloodthirsty Eyes sometime in the future. And then we go ahead and get the Baby Buzzwole. And part of me is thinking, let's see, Sledgehammer could do 120, 150, 170. If we could get a strong energy here, we could take a knockout on this Mewtwo with Sledgehammer. But all we get is the double colorless, so that forces us to have to use Zygarde here. And I just benched the new Zygarde and used that one to Cell Connector here. It's a little more efficient because I can get right at the 4 energy instead of having to put 5 on if I use the other one. But it was unfortunate we missed. I could have played a Fighting Energy and I could have done damage to the Mewtwo, more damage, but I needed a strong to be able to take a knockout with the Baby Buzzwole. And then, so I went ahead, I was kind of greedy and didn't put the Fighting Energy down. Instead I put the DCE down. And so we ended up just having to attack with Zygarde. That's only doing 70 damage to the Mewtwo. So the Mewtwo could hit us for 60 and heal 30, or it could hit for 90. I don't know if either of those are great options for our opponent. And remember, last turn they went down to 3 prizes. They took 2 prizes, and that was their only 2 cards. And then they also had a Field Blower. I don't know if that was off the prizes or off the top deck, but he chose to discard both of my Float Stones there. What is our opponent going to do? They do attach an energy to Necrozma, Psychic Necrozma. And they have just retreat into Inkay. So they're trying to get enough energy on the Necrozma to take a knockout on the Zygarde, I think. So, okay, so in the meantime, we can go ahead and take a knockout on that Mewtwo, since it's already got damage on it. We're at 50, 170. We could take a knockout on the Necrozma. I'll take that back. 130, 150. We can't take a knockout on the Necrozma. So I think Bloodthirsty Eyes, the Mewtwo up and taking a knockout is the right play here. and then we can probably just Sycamore here. We don't want to end. We can just Sycamore here and maybe find an energy, but alas, we don't find an energy. So I'm gonna Ultra Ball to thin our deck because we know we're going down to 2 prizes, and if our opponent does happen to end us, we want to make sure that everything that we could, everything is out of the deck. Looks like we've got a bunch of energy left: a Float Stone, Choice Band, Guzma, a Max Elixir, and a Rescue Stretcher. So we're down to it. Our deck's getting pretty thin. We don't really have any more draw supporters, but the Lele could get us a Guzma for the game. Again, the unfortunate part here though is that we don't we weren't able to hit an energy drop for our Zygarde on the bench. So it looks like they're just going to Psychic Recharge to the Psychic Necrozma, and they play a Choice Band, so that will be enough to take a knockout on our Zygarde. And so at this point I'm really struggling what to promote. Part of me is thinking I want to get a little chip damage with the Baby Buzzwole, so I go ahead and promote the Baby Buzzwole. But if there is a scenario where I could potentially power up the Zygarde with elixirs, and maybe I should have put something that could have had a Float Stone on it. So I think this might be a misplay, but I also realize that there's only really 1 Float Stone left in the deck, so I'm able to elixir here, and I'm just debating on what I really want to do here. I think the idea is to thin my deck as much as possible, and then change the stadium because we no longer have anything that we need with Brooklet Hill. And so we'll go ahead and go into Scorched Earth here. And so we'll Ultra Ball the other Scorched Earth and the Sudowoodo. And again, now I'm thinking, man, I wish I hadn't promoted the Baby Buzzwole. I wish I had promoted something with a Float Stone, because maybe when we instruct for 2 here, we could hit the Float Stone and an energy. And so we do instruct, and we get 2. And indeed, we hit the Float Stone and the energy, and the strong energy, so we can take a knockout on the Necrozma. It would be 130, 150, and then with the Diance's 170 and the Regirock's 180. But alas, we have a Choice Band on the Buzzwole. But so what I think, so instead of attacking, I just pass here. And I know that I have a Guzma still in the deck, so the idea is that my opponent takes a knockout on the Baby Buzzwole, and then I can promote something else, and then Lele for Guzma for game. And if he doesn't put if the Necrozma is in the active, then I can just take a knockout with the by just attaching the Float Stone. So that's the idea here. But our opponent has a different idea. He's charging up a Malamar, and he is going to Invasion, and then he's going to hit this Buzzwole with a Malamar for 120, so he doesn't take the knockout, so I can't use Lele here. Oh, so what do I do? So I guess I can thin again. I can attach the energy, attach the Float Stone, and then I can instruct for 2 more cards, and I have about a 33% chance. No, actually a 50% chance, because I'm going to get a card here. But I kind of luck out anyway and hit the Guzma, and so I can then take out the Necrozma with the Zygarde. And we will Land's Wrath here for just the right amount, 180 damage. And so there we go. Zygarde is not too bad. I mean, it's pretty fun. Remember, this list has no Bonnies in it, so it just plays Zygarde, and you get one GX, and so you got to use it wisely. But anyway, that's the Zygarde. And again, this is Klive's list. He came in second at the Singapore special event, and I'll pull that up for you in just a moment so you can review it again. I'm not going to spend too long talking about it because the interview that I did with him yesterday, you can hear all about the deck and why he chose the cards he chose. But if you haven't seen the deck, you can get a quick screen capture here. And as you can see, it's very toolboxy. It's got Lycanroc and the Baby Buzzwole and the Sudowoodo along with Zygarde. It plays 16 energies in it. So there you go. Take a screenshot or a quick pic of this list and go try it out. It's really fun. I think you'll enjoy it. Anyway, Pokedad Fan Club, tell me what other decks you would like to see on the channel. I've got plenty more that I'd like to feature, but if there's one that you would especially like to see, let me know. Hit that like button, subscribe, and we will talk to you later, guys. Bye.